Hey guys, so I basically had this huge idea for absolutely no reason to freaking change the course of my account or something. Basically, as most know, I used to post freaking movies or something, or my most recent was a review of Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. But honestly, I think I'm done with that now, and I think I'm gonna start doing a movie review page, sort of, see if I can get big or something. So I thought, why not redid my account and let's start. Why not start with the ranking of the DCEU? As most people know, the DCEU is kind of a shit show. I mean, you started with Man of Steel and somehow ended just barely with Black Adam. And now that James Gunn and whatever the other dude's name is have taken over, they basically have rebooted everything by not only canceling Henry Cavill coming back as Superman, but also canceling Wonder Woman 3, and Dwayne Johnson is not coming back as Black Adam, which honestly I'm not too sad about. Oh, and Jason Momoa is apparently not playing Aquaman anymore. He might be playing Lobo now. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but I mean, come on, that'd be great casting. Anyway, let's get to the chase. I'm going to be ranking all things DCEU. That also includes Peacemaker. If you don't agree that it shouldn't be on here, I don't care. Literally die. Yeah, so let's just get to it.
With liberty and justice for all.
To hopefully no one's surprise, Justice League is easily the bottom tier of the DCEU movies. Not only is it horribly written, horribly shot, and just all around horrible, it's horrible. Nothing about this movie is redeemable. Maybe the fight scene between Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg, but even that's ruined by some corny line from Gal Gadot.
Hello, no.
Even that's just very bad. I mean, come on. As everyone knows, this movie had to go through a lot of reshoots because Zack Snyder had to step down due to unfortunate reasons, and the the people at DC were like, hey, it'd be a really good idea if we took our dark ass comics and made fucking Joss Whedon write our movie and direct it, because he did so well with the last two Avengers movies, huh? Didn't he? Yeah, and so out came this shit show of a movie. I don't think I have ever rewatched this since it came out in theaters because it was that bad. And just the acting was horrible, the writing was horrible. I don't think I enjoyed a single character. What did they do to Barry Allen? And now that we know Ezra Miller is a freaking pedophile, it just makes it harder to watch. This movie is very badly put together, and I'm so glad we got a better movie. The Snyder Cut. I'll talk about that more soon. Also, Steppenwolf looks like a freaking grandpa in this. What did they do? Who took a look at the Zack Snyder cut version and then was like, nope, let's get rid of a cool design? God. Anyways, Justice League sucks. I hope Joss Whedon has nightmares about how badly he made this movie, and I'll give it a fucking 2 out of 10.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
So 2016 Suicide Squad is easily also one of the worst DCEU projects ever. It's so badly put together that it's insane. And I get most DC movies, it had reshoots, and I'm pretty sure they had a new director. No, I don't think they wouldn't let David Ayer go through with his original vision of it, and I hope his original vision would have been so much better than this movie, because this movie is just so badly put together. The characters are also awful. Let's get a rundown of our characters real quick. First, you got Deadshot, one of the lamest DC characters of all time, and then we have Harley Quinn, who you can't hate. I mean, how could you hate Harley Quinn? She's perfect. Margot Robbie is perfect in the role. And then you have Slipknot, a guy who can literally climb up walls. What? I think they only really added him because they needed someone to die that wasn't the main character. Then you have the uncle you can't invite to the barbecue, El Diablo, who is actually really cool. The worst Joker ever put to screen. Enchantress, easily one of the worst DC villains of all time. And then you have Rick Flag, who wants to get inside that Entrusty for some godforsaken reason. You put them all together, and what do you get? Well, let me tell you what you get.
Are we some
You
kind
get
of
some kind of Suicide
Squad?
Squad, baby. Anyway, Suicide Squad is easily one of the worst DC projects ever. It's honestly so weird and boring and stupid and unnecessary, and so long and so badly edited and written, and every character sucks absolute donkey balls, and for some reason the movie can't go 30 seconds without having licensed music in it. I'm dead serious. Every 30 seconds there's licensed music for some reason. And like no character has character arcs for some reason either. It's like really weird. This movie just like blows, and it's so dumb. Oh my god, especially with the stupid ass, cringy ass lines. Who went into the writer's office and then told like freaking Joe Kimmerman or whatever to freaking say this line?
This is Katana. She's got my back. She can cut all you in half with one sword stroke, just like mowing the lawn. I would advise not getting killed by her. Her sword traps the souls of its victims.
Anyway, this movie was just wasted potential, sadly. It could have been so much better, but it wasn't for some reason. I really wish it was, because honest to God, everyone thought this movie looked amazing at one point, and then, you know, the trailers tricked us all, like usual. But Suicide Squad is bad. I'll give it probably a friggin' 2 out of 10 as well. Actually, probably 2 out of 10, because I can't put that below. Yeah, this isn't any better than Justice League. It's probably 2 out of 10 too. And I wonder. Wonder Woman 1984 had so much potential to be so great because of how good the first trailer was. I mean, honestly, if you haven't seen the first trailer in a while, go check it out, because it is seriously like leagues ahead of the first Wonder Woman. Also, it should have been good because the first Wonder Woman was so good, and it's the same director, but somehow this movie was just not good at all. Like, first of all, why was the movie set in 1984? Like, I get that doesn't really matter, but like, what did the 1980s aesthetic have to do with anything? The only thing that I really saw that was 1980s was the TV and the freaking goddamn mall. I think they said it in 1984 so that you don't question, like, why isn't Batman or Superman here? I'm like 99% sure that's the whole reason on why it was set in 1984. Now, like most people, I have many problems with this movie, but I did notice one thing my first time watching, and I still agree with myself every time. This movie is good before Steve arrives. Everything during Steve, when he's back, is just god-awful. Like, the CGI is so bad. And, oh my god, it is just so bad when Steve is here. But then, after Steve, you know, leaves, I think the movie gets really good. Except that one running scene where you could clearly tell Gal was on a freaking treadmill. But I will admit that the scene where Wonder Woman is flying is honestly probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire DCEU. Even though I know she can't fly in the comics, I still think it's cool. Shut the fuck up. I'm not a freaking comic nerd. There's 2 things that really stuck out to me in this movie. One of those things is that whole golden armor thing. Diana clearly said that Astria fought out like 100 men with like the wings being the shield. Diana clearly said that in the movie. Like, it's that powerful. But while fighting Cheetah just scratches it a couple times and it's broken. Like, hello, did the writers not like comprehend that at all? Did nobody see that or something? Another problem is freaking Cheetah, or Barbara, whatever. Maxwell Lord gave her the super strength and probably bulletproof and made her really hot. And then out of nowhere, he's like, "You want another wish?" And she's like, "Yeah, I want to be a cat." Like, what? Bro, who? Not to mention the final fight between Cheetah and Wonder Woman is just god-awful. Very bad. Wonder Woman 84 had so much potential. The first trailer looked so good, and I was very hyped. One of the most disappointing DC sequels, and guess what? It happens a lot, apparently. Before I give it my ranking, I just barely remembered the fact they introduced the invisible jet in this movie by making them go invisible after stealing an airplane from the airport. I hope the people who wrote this movie know that even though the plane is invisible, the radar can still pick it up. And also, if she can turn things invisible randomly now, like, when did that happen, bro? Like, what? Okay, but anyways, Wonder Woman 1984 gets a 3 out of 10. Look, I'm gonna be real honest right off the bat here. I am not a fan of Superman. In fact, I would say I hate Superman. I think he's one of my least favorite superheroes, like, ever. And I don't read any comic books with him because I don't like Superman. To be fair, I just don't read comic books in general. But I really don't like Superman. I think he's too much of a goody two-shoes. And he's a little overpowered. And I know a lot of people don't like Man of Steel because I don't know. Well, I can see why, but personally, I also kind of agree with them. I think Man of Steel is just a perfectly fine movie. It's a good movie, but not a good Superman movie, if you know what I'm saying. And I can see why people don't like it, obviously, but I can also, like, see how overhated this movie is. Because every DC fan can agree that, like, even if the movie's bad, the flight scene, Clark's first flight, is easily one of the best moments in superhero media I've ever seen. And you really can't disagree with me, because it really is. It's honestly amazing. And if you don't believe me, literally go watch a clip on YouTube or something, because it really is that good. Yeah, but there's problems I do have with it. First of all, this scene is just so freaking funny to me. The way he just puts his hand out and he's like, "No, don't come save me," for some freaking reason. Just sit there. And then Clark's like, "Ah, shit, okay." Okay, but for real, on God, freaking Amy Adams and Henry Cavill, Superman, and Lois have, like, no chemistry. I don't know if there's anybody out there who disagrees with me. I don't think I've ever met a single soul who says that, like, oh, Lois and Clark from Man of Steel have the best chemistry, because they really don't. I feel like they're clearly just, there for the paycheck sometimes. And then you got the fight scenes where you really can't tell what the hell is going on. Mostly the final fight between Zod and Superman. And on that note, most people don't like Zod, but I think he's a pretty okay villain. I think, he's fine for what he's doing. He has good morals, I guess. And that brings me to my final point, which is obviously Superman killing Zod. Most people have a huge problem with Superman killing Zod, but personally, I think it was justified. Zod is crazy. He even said to Clark himself that he's never going to stop when he asked him to. Zod is probably the only other being in the world who is as powerful as Superman that we know of. And, what else can you do except kill him? Clark made a sacrifice, and he made the choice to kill him because he is the most human Superman we've ever had, which is why I really like Henry Cavill Superman, is because he's the most human deception of Superman we've had, like, in all of Superman media. So, all in all, Man of Steel is just a fine movie. I probably give it a 4 out of 10.
What does that mean?
A lot of people don't like Batman v Superman, and I gotta be honest, I kind of do. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of bad things about it and a lot of flaws you can point out, but aside from those flaws, I actually really enjoyed this movie, and I'll give you some things that I actually enjoy. First of all, I really like when movies, like, show what the humans, like civilians, their point of view of, like, an alien attack. So I really liked that we got to see why Bruce Wayne hates Superman within the first, like, few minutes of the movie. I really like how we got to see, like, what happened and how the world reacted to it, instead of just the fight between Zod and Superman. And I really liked, this whole scene. I really liked the opening scene. I thought it was, like, a really good opening scene and really set the tone for the rest of the movie. I also really like how Superman, who could, like, easily enslave the entire human race, went to trial for what the people who don't like him. I really like that he did that. I think it makes him, like, more human. That's one thing I like about Zack Snyder's, like, films, like, his vision of Batman and Superman. We really get to see their human side, and I like that we get to see how the world would really react if Superman was real. Like, yeah, I totally agree that half the world would fear him and the other half would think of him as a god. I really do think that's how it would work. And this shot of Superman is beautiful. I love this shot of Superman. It's one of my favorite moments ever. The sadness in his eyes is just amazing. Another thing this movie did great is introduce one of the most badass characters in all of DC, and even the DCEU, Wonder freaking Woman. I think this is one of my favorite performances by Gal, and I think this is one of my favorite Wonder Woman's, like, movies, if you can count it one of those. She's so badass in this, it's amazing. But even though I do enjoy some of this movie, there are a lot of problems I have, and I will give you the rundown of those problems. First of all, Ben Affleck as Batman is fine. I just really don't like his suit. I think it looks weird. I did like the design for his Batman movie before Robert Pattinson took over and got the coolest Batman suit of all time. But in what world do you look at this man and go, oh yeah, he would make a good Lex Luthor, and just to tease all the DC fans, make him obsessed with Jolly Ranchers? Like usual, we have to talk about the worst part of the movie, which is the Martha scene.
You're letting him kill Martha!
Also, I love the way Ben Affleck performs his next line.
What does that mean? Why did you say that name?
Anyways, as most people agree, this Martha scene is stupid. Like, why did Batman stop? The only reasoning I can find as why he stopped is because his mom's name was Martha too, obviously. And when he was little, he didn't get to save his mom. So by saying save Martha, it's like giving him a redemption to save another Martha, even though he doesn't know who the Martha is. But then again, who the hell calls their mother by their first name, bro? Batman v Superman, 4 out of 10. Hey guys, so you know how I said I was including Peacemaker in this ranking? I totally spaced that. I only really watched like 2 episodes, and there was the finale and like episode 4 because I can't lie, I really didn't get into the show. I think James Gunn humor was forced in that show a lot. I really do like the opening, the intro though. It's one of the best intros in any TV show I've ever seen. Also, I'm not including Birds of Prey in this because I haven't seen Birds of Prey, so, you know. Yeah, let's get back to it.
My man!
Aquaman is a weird one for me because, like, I really like it, but at the same time, it's so, like, corny and bad, but, like, that's what I like about it. It just reminds me of, like, an old superhero movie from the 80s. And honestly, like, for some reason, it has more beautiful, like, cinematography than most Marvel movies nowadays. I mean, shots like this, come on, how could you not think that's beautiful? How did this not get nominated? But again, like most DC movies, there are also bad parts, and I think my least favorite part out of this whole movie is literally just this one scene.
When am I gonna be good enough? Does she not love me?
Or, here's another idea that's going to be very controversial. You could shut the fuck up!
Anyways, aside from that, this movie's just pretty good, actually. I think the action is weirdly, like, really freaking good. Like, the one scene where Aquaman and Mira fight Black Manta and his goons. There's just one problem. Why is there so many slow-mos? Like, what's the obsession, bro? Anyways, Aquaman is pretty fine, pretty good, pretty solid movie. Pretty fine, pretty good, pretty solid movie, yeah. Sounds good. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Also, screw Amber Heard. Black Adam is pretty good. Yeah, I'm just gonna admit it's actually a pretty good movie. Look, I was really hyped for this movie because Dwayne Johnson kept going, oh, this is the hierarchy of the DC was about to change. Yeah, and all that jazz. And even though this movie has a post-credit scene that is now going nowhere, something did change. And that something was my view on this movie. When I first saw Black Adam, I was like, oh, this movie absolutely sucks, and it's stupid. And, I mean, it still is very stupid, but it's also very entertaining. The action is easily one of the best parts of this movie. I think the only thing that I really did not like in this entire movie was just literally The Rock. I hate how he played the same character again. The Rock can't play a superhero. He's just like eye stare vein popping. That's all he ever does in every movie he's in, bro. I'm sure most people will agree with me when I say that the JSA clearly carried this movie. I don't think Black Adam would have been enjoyable without the JSA in this movie. Atom Smasher and Cyclone stole the show for me, and I loved every scene they were in together. I do think, though, that Dr. Fate easily had the best fight scenes out of anyone in the movie. Most notably, the final fight scene when he was giving the speech to Black Adam is easily one of my favorite fight scenes in any of the DCEU movies. Like, it's so freaking cool. I think Hawkman was pretty cool, too. He was definitely, like, an interesting character. Even though he was basically just the entire movie, he was like, you can't be a bad guy. Bad guys are bad. You can't shoot at people. But other than that, I really did enjoy Black Adam. I think it's a solid outing in the DCEU and probably the last we'll ever get with like a stupid plot and dumb action, which is great in my opinion. But Black Adam easily gets a 6 out of 10. Good movie, bad plot. Wait, hold up though. Why his theme goes so hard?
Wonder by wonder.
Guys, the first Wonder Woman is so good, you literally cannot hate this movie. It has some of the coolest action scenes in the entire DCEU, and you cannot love Diana. In fact, you literally can't. I've never met anyone who hates Diana. Honestly, I think DC has, like, the upper hand in fight scenes, because Marvel fight scenes have never been as good as, like, the two best scenes in Wonder Woman. And one of the best scenes is this one, because this scene is freaking epic. And then you have like the best scene in superhero media. Look me in the eye and tell me the No Man's Land scene isn't badass as hell. The way she freaking dodges that bullet, badass. This whole scene is badass. You can't hate this movie. Diana and Steve actually have great chemistry in this movie. It's honestly such a shame that Wonder Woman 84 had to go and ruin that chemistry. But what are you gonna do? I really like them in this movie, but not in Wonder Woman 84 for obvious reasons, because they suck balls in that movie. But then, like most good DC things, after every good fight scene, you have the giant CGI battle that they're obsessed with doing for some god-forsaken freaking reason. Like, what is DC's obsession with ruining their movies with CGI battles at the end? Anyways, Wonder Woman is badass, 7 out of 10 easily.
Bird.
James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is honestly one of the best DC movies, like, ever made. James Gunn shows you in the first, 20 minutes that this isn't your typical DC movie. Like, he kills off everyone in the first 15 minutes. And as most people know, this movie is freaking hilarious. James Gunn does it again. But while I felt like some humor was forced, there were definitely moments that I thought were hilarious, like this.
You laughing at me for, man? Why the fuck are you in your underwear? Tighty whities? Really?
Now that's just racist.
No, it's not.
And on that note, I loved the rivalry between Bloodsport and Peacemaker. I think it's honestly one of the highlights of the movie. Another highlight for me was Polka Dot Man and Ratcatcher 2. I think they both stole every scene they were in, and I love that James Gunn made me actually care for someone who just throws polka dots at people.
He does throw polka dots at people.
Also, this movie has great characters, like really good characters and great character work. I think that the fight scene between Rick Flag and Peacemaker is so intense because of how much, you understand why Peacemaker is doing what he does, and you understand why Rick Flag is doing what he does, and you have no idea who's going to win until eventually Peacemaker does. Also, with Peacemaker, I literally can't believe John Cena actually pulled his acting strings out, and he actually did really good as Peacemaker. You could feel, how sorry he was after he killed Rick Flag, and, he's just, surprisingly a good actor. And only James Gunn can make you feel sorry for a freaking giant starfish. And of course you can't talk about the Suicide Squad without talking about the one and only Harley Quinn. I love this scene so much. It's fascinating how she sees blood and horror as beautiful after she shoots all those guys. It's amazing. Anyways, The Suicide Squad is an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out. It's on HBO Max, and it's honestly a hilarious movie. James Gunn once again proves he's one of the best superhero movie directors working today, and I hope he brings stuff like this out more, just not with as much humor, if you know what I mean. But The Suicide Squad is still a great movie. I give it an 8 out of 10. Look, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been up all night making these videos, so I'm going to speedrun these last 3, starting with Shazam. Shazam is a very good movie. I really like Shazam. I think I've liked it ever since I saw it in theaters. It's a very cute, found family story, and it's very well told. It has a lot of heart put into it. I really like the family aspect of the movie. One of my favorite DC movies. It's obviously in the top 3. Billy Batson is a cool character. Freddie and Billy work so well together. I really like Zachary Levi as Shazam. That's great casting in my opinion. It's a very funny movie, and I do like the suit they have. So I just think Shazam is a very really good movie. It's very funny, very family friendly, very good. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend seeing it because it's honestly one of the best they've ever made. So yeah, Shazam is pretty good. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 as well. Let's not waste any time here. Everyone knows The Batman is one of the best, if not the best, superhero movie of the past 5 years. It is one of the greatest Batman movies I've ever seen, and just one of the greatest superhero movies I've ever seen. I like how it's a noir classic film, and it's also sort of a murder mystery, and, I really like mystery movies. People can say there's no humor in the movie, but, there's that one thumb drive joke, which is pretty funny, I think. Anyways, aside from that, this movie is just beyond perfect. Everyone who is, cool thinks this movie is amazing, because this movie is amazing. I saw this in theaters, and I loved it ever since. I even thought I was the shadows for a time. I thought I was hiding in them shadows, and anyone who come near me was about to get beat like Batman beat those one crooks in the subway. And don't even get me started on how cool the Batmobile power-up startup scene was. It was so freaking cool. In fact, that entire chase scene with Penguin is one of the coolest movie moments in superhero movie moments I've ever seen. The attention to detail Matt Reeves put is just mwah, chef's kiss. Catwoman and Batman also had some of the best scenes in the movie, and I think at some points they stole the show. In my opinion, Paul Dano did great as the Riddler. He was the best part, and I love the fact that he was just this kid on a freaking computer screen or whatever. I think he did really good as Riddler. I do wish we got to see a little bit of Barry Keoghan's Joker instead of just the deleted scene we got, but I'm fine with what we got because from what I've seen, he looks scary as freaking hell. Anyways, as anyone knows, The Batman is one of the best movies of the year, probably my second favorite movie of the year behind Avatar. It's just all around a great movie. Robert Pattinson is a great Batman, so I give this movie a 9 out of 10. Well, guys, we have officially made it. We've finally made it to what my number one DC movie of all time is. Are you ready for it? Because I'm ready for it. My number one DC movie of all time is Suicide Squad Extended Cut. Great movie. No, I'm just kidding. It's obviously. Zack Snyder's Justice League is easily the best DC movie of all time and my favorite DC movie ever made. Not only is it obviously it's ahead of the Whedon cut and Justice League, it's just all around a great superhero. I don't care if it's 4 hours long. I didn't waste 4 hours of my life watching it. It felt like it was only 3.5.
Out in the dark,
No, seriously. Zack
among the
Snyder's.
stars,
I get people who don't like it, and that's fine, but
the god is dead.
I'm glad we got to see Steppenwolf's actual, he has an actual reason on why he's doing everything instead of in the first one, how he's like, I just want to rule the world or whatever. I'm glad we actually he has a motive and a reason why he's doing these things. And at the end of the movie, I feel pretty bad for poor old Steppy over here. He got his head cut off. He just wanted to go home. Zack Snyder sure does love his slow-mo dough. It's kind of annoying sometimes because that's what probably makes the movie over 4 hours. And don't even get me started on how freaking intimidating and cool Darkseid looks. Oh my god, that is the best design I've ever seen. I'm so sad we won't see it anymore.
Almost like a premonition.
Not only does this...
There's an attack coming.
My lord, this world will fall.
Superman's first flight after he dies, that is one of the coolest scenes in all of the DCEU. And the shot of him facing the sun is freaking beautiful.
I need warriors.
The same thing right now. Who's gonna say it? I'm not gonna say it.
How do you know your team's strong enough? If you can't bring down the charging bull, then don't wave the red cape at
it. I'm glad that in the Snyder Cut, when Superman gets his memories back, they don't give him some stupid-ass line like this, just to try and make the audience laugh.
Just got out of a wooden box.
What was it like? Coming back?
Itchy.
I'm not watching this! Look!
Yeah, so Zack Snyder's Justice League is, in my opinion, a perfect DC movie and a perfect superhero movie. And for that, I give it a 10 out of 10.